Module 4, Adaptive Capacity and Risk Assessment. In this section, we will talk about adaptive capacity and risk assessment. There are 3 parts covered in this section, which are Introduction to Adaptive Capacity and Risk, Data Portal and Tools for Assessing Adaptive Capacity, Case Study, Communities' Adaptive Capacity to Tidal Flooding in Semarang Coastal City. The definition of adaptive capacity is capability of a system for altering to climate change, including climate variability and extremes, to moderate potential damage or coping with the consequence of hazard. Brooks, 2003. Furthermore, the definition of risk is probability of losses, lives, health, property, damages, and other economic activities disturbed due to particular hazard for certain area and time period. Downing et al., 2004. However, there are many more different definitions of adaptive capacity and risk. To assess adaptive capacity and risk, there are several steps to be done. We will elaborate the data portals and tools for assessing adaptive capacity and risk. There are 2 alternative tools for assessing capacity and risk, which are Adaptation Database for Planning Tools, or ADAPT, which is considered as a tool in the type of data portals and process. This tool could be an alternative for database for guiding climate adaptation planning framework. Moreover, Crystal, community-based risk screening tools and adaptation, also livelihood. Also an alternative tools for data processing and visualization. This tool is very useful to modify projects to reduce vulnerability and enhance adaptive capacity. You could see the detailed explanation of both tools in the following link. To simply understand the application of adaptive capacity measurement and research methodology, explanation to study case is provided. The selected study case is Communities' Adaptive Capacity due to Tidal Flood in Semarang Coastal City, Indonesia. Semarang City is very prone to tidal flooding. More than 20 villages are located along the coastline suffered from coastal inundation. As has been mentioned by Marfai and Hizbaron, 2011, in their research in the topic of communities' adaptive capacity in Semarang, there are 4 derived factors of urban flooding, which are localized flooding occurs in slum area because of the insufficient draining system. Small streams in urban areas rise very rapidly due to heavy rainfall. Major rivers over the critical height above the land, and 4 wet season flooding as the cause. In addition, land subsidence also one of the factors affecting severe level of coastal inundation in Semarang City. It is predicted by Directorate of Geology and Environment of Bandung and BGR 2008 that in some areas of Semarang, land subsidence rate up to 8 cm annually. The land subsidence is assumed induced by mixed factor of natural condition and human activities. One of the activities resulted in land subsidence is an excessive extraction of groundwater. In order to overcome the tidal flood problem in Semarang City, especially for short term, adaptive capacity enhancement of local people is urgently required. Therefore, research and studies related to adaptive capacity are needed to be done for better insights in order to enhance coastal management strategies. In this study case, data are obtained by field observation as well as study literature overview. The sample unit determined as multi-level, which are derived from household to represent the condition in respective areas. Furthermore, statistic analysis technique applied to observe is inferential or inductive statistic. The questionnaire are applied in the research area in order to identify local adaptive capacity of the research area. Total respondents are 40 people. There are 6 elements included in the questionnaire in order to achieve research goal, which are general information about the respondent perception on tidal flood hazard in their area, impact of the tidal flood hazard, affected building, superstructure, infrastructure due to tidal flood hazard, physical adaptation, and task force to deal with the tidal flood hazard. The result related to public perception due to tidal flood in Semarang shows that people are aware of the natural hazard, especially flooding in Semarang. However, their awareness is not enough to support their decision to leave the area. There is lack of alternatives to move. Tidal flood in the research area often occurred for more than 3 hours and lasted for more than 6 to 9 hours. The depth of the tidal flood is relatively from 25 cm to 75 cm. The community able to identify the cause of the tidal flood. 45% reveals that land subsidence is the main cause of inundation. 30% express that the poor drainage system as the cause, while other 15% deem that sea level rise is the main cause of the inundation. Most of the community expressed that the natural system as the leading factor causing the inundation. In addition, the tidal flood occurrence did not force the community to leave their activities. On the other hand, they continue working and doing daily activities. It means that the tidal flood generally occurred and the community did not distract over the tidal flood occurrence. In order to survive from tidal flood, more than 50% of people in the area put their belonging in their higher place. They also heightened their housing foundation and built small dikes in front of their house to avoid the water come inside their house, as you can see in the following pictures. Those strategies are considered as traditional and locally sourced from local people. However, for long-term strategies for tidal flood protection, those strategies are not fit at all. Adequate structural and non-structural measures are needed in order to reduce the impact of tidal flood for local people. As a matter of fact, structural measure and non-structural measure to overcome the problem actually has been initiated by the government. The structural measure which has been done, for instance, are the improvement of drainage system to pumping station, the reshaping of land surveys and land reclamation along the beach. The non-structural measure includes the improvement of the neighborhood by coastal planning and management. Marfai et al. 2008. After hearing this presentation, there are 2 review questions to be answered, which are: first, what is the definition of adaptive capacity and risk? And 2, please give case study for adaptive capacity measurement.